See? 17. Just bought this gun. I don't know if I want it.
Good morning, everyone. This is John with Gun.Deals. Today, we are going to talk about polymer versus steel-framed handguns, and specifically polymer guns that also have a steel variation, which one is better or worse, and which one you might consider for various reasons. Before we get into all of that, go ahead and like, share, and subscribe, as that is free and it does help us out quite a bit, and go ahead and comment your favorite steel-framed version of a handgun in the comments down below. Now, full disclosure on both of the main reference pieces that we have here, this is my original Glock 17 Gen 3 that I picked up nearly a decade ago now in a pawn shop when I turned 21. And this is my most recent acquisition, or one of my most recent acquisitions. This is a steel-framed Canik Rival S, which I bought specifically to compete in USPSA with. Now, I've only had this for a few months. I've done about 10 competitions with it so far, and put about 3,000 rounds through it in that time. On the Glock 17, I probably have about 30 to 40,000 rounds, so there's a bit of a time discrepancy there, but this is going to be our reference steel-framed handgun. I do want to be clear, as we move through this presentation, we are not going to be talking about 1911 or 2011 or some of the other steel-framed guns out there that are designed as steel-framed guns. We're talking about polymer guns and their steel variations. For instance, I don't have it with me, but the Canik has many different polymer framed variations, the Meta, the TP9s, and the standard Rival version that is not, of course, the steel framed dark side that we have here. Walther PDP has a steel version of their standard handgun. The P320 has a new steel framed version. They also have the tungsten infused grip. So they have a heavyweight version and a lightweight version, and we're going to go through why you might want something like this. Now, the first reason is going to be for reference, the Rival S with just a plastic grip insert, not the brass insert that we have here, minus the light and optic, comes in at 42 ounces without anything on it, whereas a Glock 17 comes in at about 24 ounces. So you're going up about 80% in terms of weight. As you see it currently with the TLR1 with the lock grips, brass grips on here, the Canik Rival S is currently sitting at about 55 ounces, which is very heavy, towards the limit of what you can get away with in carry optics. So with that additional 30 ounces with the Rival S, the biggest difference is going to be the way that they shoot and the way that it feels in your hand. This is a very, very heavy handgun. The way that it shoots is different. It's not better, it's different. So with all that extra weight, you have about 14 ounces in the slide. The rest of it is non-reciprocating. With that weight, it's not that you get less recoil, but that it happens slower. So if you look at high-speed footage, they look fairly similar in terms of maximum angle during recoil, but it is definitely less snappy, especially how it feels in the hands. It's very slow. Now, the reason why I say that's not necessarily better is that some people do just prefer a snappier recoil impulse. And snappier is something that subjectively I like less. So subjectively, I do like the Rival S, the way that it shoots more, because I feel like it's easier to control. I feel that it's simpler, smoother, if that makes sense. Whereas with the Glock 17, it recoils very quickly, but it also comes right back to target. And that right there is going to be the most important thing. Subjectively, you may not like the way it feels, but how is the dot return? Especially if you have your grip set up properly. People shoot Glocks very, very quickly. They win national championships with them all the time. So to say that a Glock is incapable of winning is just flat out wrong. So with that extra 30 ounces on the Rival S, you get a slightly different recoil impulse that you may or may not prefer, but again, I wouldn't say that it's objectively better. Now, I've been competing with the Rival S for, again, about the last 10 or 11 matches. I think I've won 3 of them. I've had some really good stage wins, some really good performance with it. I don't feel like I'm ever out shooting it, but there are a few little downsides. Because it is a little bit slower, it feels like at certain times you are waiting for the gun to come back. It also takes more effort to transition with the gun, whereas anytime that I shoot these usually back to back, with the Glock 17, it just feels so light and comfortable. While yes, there is more perceived recoil, more perceived muzzle flip, it comes right back down to target, and if I'm doing, say, a 3-target transition or 4-target transition, it feels very natural and very, very fast. Whereas the Rival S, everything just feels a little bit slower. There are, of course, other differences. The trigger on the Rival S is very good, the sights are a little taller, the grip angle is better for me personally. Now, something that's going to really depend on the specific model that you choose is how that steel frame is actually set up. So for instance, with the brass lock grips on here that add about 9 ounces, I want to say, it does introduce some hot spots into the grip. So for instance, I have a silly line of calluses from my middle knuckle here all the way down to my pinky, because there is a very sharp line between the steel frame and the actual brass insert itself that really digs into my hand when I'm holding it. Though, of course, you can also get Glock frames or name your aftermarket frame or any of these polymer framed or steel frame handguns. You can get just about any grip texture that you want. With the Canik, there are just a few little machining inconsistencies that give it a few hot spots when you're doing a lot of dry fire or a lot of live fire with it. If we talk about obvious downsides for just a second, a fully loaded Canik Rival S with a 24-round stick is going to be about 70 ounces, which is a little bit too much to carry, whereas you can carry this, you can use this as a duty gun, you can do just about anything with it, where the weight is going to be a little bit prohibitive on the steel framed gun. So this can literally do everything: competition, carry, duty, whereas this is kind of a meme gun. Now, specifically why I went with the Rival S is because while it is about $800, I think is the street price on these guys, it is the cheapest that I know of steel framed handgun that fits into the carry optics division. I want to say that the Walther PDP steel frame starts at about $1,300 to $1,500. The P320s are about that same price tag. So even though, yes, this is very expensive, for a Canik, it's about half the cost of similar carry optic steel framed handguns, which is very, very niche. So when it comes to which one of these actually shoots better, they both shoot basically the same. I will admit that I have a slight preference to the Canik Rival S because it is a little bit heavier, it is a little bit slower, which at times makes it feel more controllable. Subjectively, again, the grip angle is more comfortable for me, the grip texture on this is a little more aggressive, and the trigger is undeniably better, though again, when you're shooting at speed, it's less relevant than you would think most of the time. I can still do 99% of the same things with a $400 Glock, or, you know, name your polymer framed handgun out there. Something that I have thought about doing just for an experiment is to get basically a carbon copy of the Rival S, so a 5¼ inch polymer framed Canik, and run that side by side. Maybe put the magwell on this guy and run it in limited optics, and then run the polymer framed in carry optics, or at least just shoot them side by side to see if there's a real performance difference from the exact same model. So do I like the steel frame model? Yes. Do I need it or feel like it's necessary to get the most out of my shooting skills at this point in time? No. But again, there are subjective little things that I like about it, although it's going to take considerably more time to really exploit all the advantages that are there. But that's about all that I got today on steel versus polymer. I'd really love to hear your experiences down below on the different steel framed handguns that are originally designed as polymer, how they perform, what you like or don't like about them. And with all of that out of the way, gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I will see you in the next one. Peace off.